Right behind me here in Waukegan, Illinois, is the historic Genesee Theater. Back in its heyday in 1927, when it first opened, artists and performers came from across the country to perform here. This was the center of this town's social life, nightlife, and entertainment. But then after a while, in 1989, it eventually shut its doors. It had passed its prime. But fortunately, there was some people that had an understanding that, you know what, to restore and to make better what was better than just letting something go by the wayside. So in '99, the city of Waukegan repurchased this property, and in 2004, the Genesee Theater reopened and has since become the cornerstone of a revitalization project. You know, there's something deep within all of us that loves a restoration story, because I think deep down in each one of our lives, we have a desire for restoration. And the great thing is that in the Bible, we see Jesus have that same desire to restore people. And the great news is that when Jesus restores somebody, he doesn't just restore them back to normal, he restores them better than new. One day Jesus met a leper, and the leper came to him and said, "I want you to restore me. If you will, make me clean." Now it's an amazing thing. At that time, lepers, it wasn't just a sickness that they had, literally it was a sentence. Relationally, they were completely separated from friends and family. Physically, they were hurt, they were in pain. Economically, they had no chance for a job. Emotionally, they were beat down. Socially, they were ostracized. And on top of all of that, physically, they were separated from God because they were unclean. And yet this leper comes to Jesus and he says, "If you will, you can make me clean." He didn't say, "If you can, if you have the ability, please heal me." He said, "If you will, you can." He knew that Jesus had the ability to restore him, and so he comes right to Jesus. And the great thing is he said, "Not just heal me, make me clean." So when Jesus did that, he didn't just heal him physically, he made him clean. Now, to understand what this leper is asking, you have to understand a little bit of the Old Testament. God is this holy, good, perfect God, and he wants to make a way for people that are unclean, people like me, like you, people that have sin in our life, to come into his presence. And so he established a whole sacrificial system to make people clean. But here was the horrible part about the leper's life. Because he was a leper, he would never be able to be made clean, and because of that, he could never come to God. With that, he brings all of that baggage, all of that hardship, all of his needs, and he brings them before Jesus, knowing that Jesus can restore him, not just physically, but can restore him to God the Father. And so what does Jesus do? Well, unlike others that would have been afraid of becoming unclean, Jesus goes and he touches the man. He literally touches the man, something that probably hasn't happened in years for this man. And so he touches him, and what he does is he ends up making him clean. He ends up restoring him, not just economically and all these other things, he restores him spiritually, makes him right with God. And so today, that same offer of being made clean is something that Jesus extends to us. What he says is, you know what, come to me and I will make you clean. So today, if you're in a spot and you said, man, I do have things in my life that I know I need cleansing from, Jesus is the one who can make you holy. He can make you clean. So today, would you ask him? Would you ask him to make you clean, to restore you? The reality is that to restore is to be brought back into a new or an original condition, one without impairment or blemish or anything like that. But you know what? Each one of us in this world, we are all born sinful. And so in order for us to be brought back to normal, that doesn't mean just being brought back to how we were as little kids. It means being brought all the way back to how God designed human relationship to be with each other, with God, all the way back to the garden. Just like God walked and talked with Adam and Eve, he wants to be in this relationship uninhibited. And so you can ask Jesus to cleanse you. Also, for those of you that have already received that cleansing and that forgiveness, just be reminded of it. So many times we walk around, even as Christians, and we think that, you know what, I have all this baggage in the past, I have all this sin. But you know what? Christ has already forgiven that. He's already made you clean. And you can be restored. Because you've been restored, he can remind you of that. You don't have to walk around with the guilt of all that on you. And then finally, show gratitude for what you've been given. The Holy One has made you holy, so live a holy life. When Jesus restores you, he makes you better than new because he makes you right with God.